I mean, it gives them control over the Strait of Hormuz. It allows them to charge tolls. It calls for reparations, effectively. It asks for a lot of different things. So where do we stand right now?
Well, only yesterday, the White House was briefing reporters and saying that the 10 points that Iran had put forward were unacceptable, that they were maximalist. That was the term that was used. I think Axios was reporting that, and that it would not be considered. Today, Trump is saying that it's the basis of a conversation. Now, it's not unusual for two sides in a negotiation to start from maximalist positions and then find their way to something that both sides can agree on. But we don't yet have anywhere near enough information. We've heard that there's a 10-point plan. The White House has not released this 10-point plan. The Iranians have not released the 10-point plan. An Iranian news agency, which is usually the mouthpiece of the government, has released only the sketchiest idea of a 10-point plan, and that includes the points that you make, that they get to decide who goes through Hormuz. The United States has to leave. All American military personnel have to leave from the region. That they get to decide on their nuclear uranium enrichment program. These are things that surely, after all of what we've seen take place, after everything that the president has said over the last month and a half, none of these things should be acceptable at face value to the Trump administration. But now the president says, at this late hour, that it's a basis of a conversation.
Yeah, and I mean, and all the things that you're saying were true yesterday,
Yep.
throughout the entire day yesterday. So why move the goalposts tonight, just hours before his deadline?
Well, I agree with some of what was said there. We don't really know what's in the 10 points. We haven't seen it. We also don't know what conversations have been had with a lot of other countries. There's a lot of reporting tonight that maybe China was involved, that maybe other countries got engaged here in mediating this. So there's obviously a lot of players in the room having conversations that we're simply not privy to. So I think we're all probably going to be watching over the next 2 weeks to see how the negotiations turn out. What I'm most interested in is what happens to the nuclear program of Iran. To me, that was the biggest piece of why we were doing this. The president drew a red line. They will never get a nuclear weapon. That's why we were doing this, along with taking away their ability to export terror, the missile program, the aggressive Navy. But to me, that's the number one piece. When are we going to see the negotiating points around the development of nuclear weapons? And we'll find that out, I guess, in the coming days.
No mention of that. Trump, by the way, and we shouldn't gloss over this, he started the morning with the threat of ending Iran's civilization, and ended the day without any clarity on any of the things that Scott just pointed out, and especially the thing that presumptively we went into this war to get control over, which is the nuclear program.
Pretty insane jump, right? From destroying civilization to seemingly using their 10-point maximalist plan as a baseline, right? And those are the kind of, just to your point, I really want to understand exactly what's been agreed to behind the scenes here. And if tolling is what's been agreed to, allowing Iran to actually charge a toll for ships to pass through, that would be actually a step backward for our country and for global passage of 20% of the world's oil and gas. That's a huge problem. And you add to that, and I'd like to really understand where we are on the uranium side, and I think the nuclear piece is very, very important. Where are we on the terror program? What's been agreed to there? And of course, what's happened on the ballistic side? And kind of what progress have we made? And I think that's a very important thing to understand. Well, hopefully